everything!
Hello, happy campers. Spike,
Chris,
and we are geeking out, and we are back with another podcast, an abbreviated one, hopefully this time around. It's been a rough week, so to speak. No reviews to do this week, so we've been pretty review heavy the past couple of weeks, but
yeah,
that's over with. Anyway. We are recording on Sunday, July 31st, 2022, and Streamageddon is here, Chris. I know you've got some news headlines you want to talk about, but I wanted to talk about this first. I don't know if you noticed, Chris, but there's a recession going on right now.
Oh, no.
Have you heard of that? Now, Brandon doesn't want to admit it, but not you, Brandon, the other Brandon. Joe Biden doesn't want to admit it, we'll say, but there is a recession going on. That's 2 straight quarters of economic shrinkage, we'll say. So,
surprise, surprise.
So, between that and the inflation and gas still way above $3 a gallon and yada, 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 people are cutting back where they can, and one of the first things to take it in the neck is entertainment. One of the first things in entertainment to take it in the neck are all these friggin' streaming subscriptions. From what I'm hearing, a lot of Disney Plus lost people. Netflix lost 1 million customers last quarter, apparently.
Yeah.
And Peacock's losing paid members. Paramount Plus losing paid members. There's a lot of subscriber loss going on right now. Netflix, of course, getting ready to try to nickel and dime everybody to death to try to pay for all this stuff that they're filming that nobody really wants to see aside from Stranger Things. So, but anyway, I saw the headline on that earlier, and I could have, Chris, I could have sworn somebody was warning everybody about losses coming to streaming because they were putting out a bunch of stuff nobody wanted to see, and they kept raising the prices on it. And guess what? Torrent is still a thing. So, yeah, you don't even know what I'm talking about, do you? Do you remember torrents? Rainfalls and stuff, and don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the rivers and the lakes and the pirate bays that you're used to.
Are we talking about music or streaming?
The future of streaming is the past, buddy. So, what were you gonna say?
Well, you know what? There's this thing that I'll let you look at it later when we're done and see if you want to attach it to the podcast. Okay?
Uh-huh. What is it?
It is FSMR. It is
that was Netflix's business plan. Yes,
it's a comedy bit.
It's a comedy bit
where they're talking about how they're wanting to add adult stuff to Disney Plus for adults, and I'll let you.
Daisy Does Dallas, among other things. Yeah.
Daisy Does Dallas.
Yeah, like Disney's allowed to go to Texas right now. Anyway. So anyway, the point being, there's a lot of change going on. So I'm going to do a quick retrench on what I think is going to be happening when it comes to streaming. When the economy is doing fine, everybody gets fat and sassy and everybody's got their rigmarole and their drama and stuff that they can go after because everybody's making money. When the economy turns down, all of a sudden, all the falderall is not acceptable anymore. And Disney's learning this. I believe there's been a couple of other Hollywood studios where they've started bouncing people. Netflix has been telling people if you're offended by Dave Chappelle or you're offended by this or that, you can. There's the door. Help yourself. Just walk on out.
Which is basically what they should.
Which is what they should have been doing all along. Yes.
So I'm sorry. It's like if there's always warning signs that it's like, oh, PG-13 or this warning, this may contain violence or whatever. And if you still watch it and you gripe about, oh, this is like, horrible, then that's your fault.
I mean, there's been this ongoing discussion among the the amateur critical community, not just us, but there have been people saying if you go out and you keep watching these movies, and not even the woke movies, because I know there's a certain group of people who will hear us say woke and their eyes roll up and back to their heads. But if you're going to watch, for example, Spider-Man No Way Home or something, then you're supporting all the woke stuff that Sony does. Or if you go watch a Disney Plus movie, then you're supporting all the woke stuff that Disney does. You're subsidizing. Every time you go to see Top Gun Maverick, you're subsidizing Star Trek Picard and Crap New Worlds and all that other stuff that they do. It's one of those things where a lot of the new stuff, you take the good stuff where you can. So I disagree with people who say you shouldn't support any of the new stuff. That's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You still need to support the good stuff because, like I said, we're getting to a point in the economy where the falderall is going to start getting tossed out. And when that falderall goes away, a lot of these crap, non-creative types who have managed to finagle their way in like little creative cancers are going to find themselves getting snipped away. And I said when we started all this, the future is the past when it comes to streaming. You won't believe, I just heard the other day a reference to the Pirate Bay, which supposedly is not a thing anymore, the Pirate Bay, and that's where you could go in and you could find BitTorrents, you could find different little things where you could download your own stuff and watch it for free instead of paying somebody for the privilege of watching it. Y'all sit there and you put out crap and you put on a bunch of, you handcuff it, you overcharge for it, your service is crap, your product is crap, your pricing is crap, and your attitude is crap. And guess what? People are going to stop subsidizing this. People want to do this legally, is what I'm trying to say. And you're chasing them right back in the hands of the pirates. I predict over the next 2 years, you are going to start seeing one streaming service after another start going down. And it's going to start with the weak ones. The free ones, I think, are going to be in good shape because I don't see Pluto TV going anywhere, for example. They're the leader in free streaming right now. But the paid Disney Plus stuff is, they'll survive, but it ain't going to be easy. Netflix will survive. It won't be easy. Paramount Plus, I'm not so sure. Some of these others that are running around, the Pluto TVs, the Tubies, the Crackles should be all right. They're all ad supported. But that ad revenue is drying up too now. So that's not necessarily the panacea a lot of these streaming executives think it is.
Well, that's why Netflix is starting to do ads now.
Yes. And that's why YouTube is piling on with their ads. And, I mean, you use YouTube all the time. I use YouTube all the time. And yeah. I watch, you got to understand, Chris, the videos I usually watch are 10 minutes or less. And it's usually related to some kind of pop culture thing, some kind of political thing, something like that. I'm getting ads that are an hour long. If I'm not paying attention and I've got it running in the background, it will sit there and run somebody's ad for an hour.
Yeah, if I don't pay attention either, I'll forget that there's a skip button, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like what I'm supposed to be watching. I'll go over and be like, oh, it's an hour ad.
And you have to go over and skip. But yeah. And the reason they have that skip button is so you can escape that. That's what they wanted all along, was somebody to pay them for the privilege of paying an hour
they'll even put like a full music video on there, and it's like,
I'm seeing a lot of paid for content starting to crop up as ads, and every single ad view that they play where they force it down your throat counts as a view for them.
Yeah.
I'm seeing on my YouTube Roku app, the very first thing recommended for you is always an ad now. It's some kind of little video that I don't care anything about, but it's somebody who really, really wants me to click on their ad because it's first and foremost. And people are just, and I guess there are people who just sit there and as soon as it starts, they hit OK to watch the first thing, they get an ad. But these ads also show the number of views that this ad has gotten. And it's usually, I'm seeing some 300 views. I had one ad, it had 135 views. And it was just some schlub doing what we do. But I guess he was paying for the eyeballs. And I don't know. So YouTube, but actually YouTube is getting to the point it's almost unusable. I have a 10-minute video I'm trying to watch. 3 minutes in, it stops everything and forces me to sit through two 15-second ads, or a 5-second ad and a 30-second ad, and it doesn't always give me the opportunity to skip. Apparently, I've only got so many skips that YouTube will allow, and then they won't let you skip unless it's longer than 30 seconds or something like that. There is one ad they keep showing me over and over on the YouTube ad server where Sylvester is supposed to be helping them shoot some kind of training video, much to his surprise, and I don't know because I've clicked skip ad. I've seen that same 5 seconds of this ad, this is not a joke, 40 times in the past month, just in the month of July, and it's like, why do they keep showing me this crap? Because I don't want to sit there through a 2-minute ad to find out. Point being, there is actually is a point. Let's get back on point. I'm already at a 12-minute rant here, and I'm not really intending to rant, but you're chasing off your customers. You're chasing off your customers in so many ways. And it's like this throughout American business right now. The beloved and I love eating out. We love eating out. And we've always had a weakness for fast food. One thing we've always loved, and Chris is giving me a look because even though we just fed him, I'm going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. But Pizza Hut. We were one of the few people who liked the pasta at Pizza Hut. Okay, they had something called the meaty marinara. It was a nice big, I'd say it's probably like a 6x9 pan of pasta with pasta sauce in it that had basil and stuff, and it had little pieces of beef and pork sausage and stuff in it. It was actually really, really good, and it had like a layer of cheese on top of it, and we would always buy 2 of them with some cheese sticks, and it was like 15, 16 bucks, something like that, for a set of 2 with the cheese sticks, and that would do us for a meal. Well, now they've got it new and improved. So now that they've new and improved it, it tastes like crap. It's in a smaller round foil pan, and you can tell it's, oh my goodness, it's like ziti in ketchup covered with a few pizza toppings. That's what it looks like. It's nothing like the way it used to be. It used to be pretty good. This is crap. And they charge the same price for it. You get about 20% less product. It's much inferior to what you had before, but they're still charging the same amount for it. Goodbye, Pizza Hut. Yes, you just gasped and...
This reminds me of something I just literally heard like a couple of days ago. The person that does, or the people who created Frosty Cream, or whatever it is, the machines that make Frosty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they get a percentage every time it is used.
Right.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they're suing McDonald's because their machine is always down. Mm-hmm. But it turns out they've been lying the entire time. So
I know
now,
who you're talking about. Taylor.
Is that what? Yeah.
Taylor is the one who makes the ice cream machines at McDonald's. Yes, I'm well aware of what's going on here. Go ahead.
So, like, apparently, like, there's some type of thing in the machine that lets them know every time it's used, and apparently that there's a number that they gave of how many times they have not been used and how much it has been used.
Mm-hmm.
So they're suing McDonald's for lying about the machine being broken down. Now, why would they do that? I have no idea. Do they do like?
Well, I have an idea. Go ahead.
No, that's all I got. I just thought that was.
All right, All right, we're off into the weeds here. We're going to talk about corporate relations and talking about sucky fast food, McDonald's. Okay, now Taylor makes all the McDonald's ice cream machines. Okay, so if you want a McFlurry or you want a milkshake or you want a cone, Taylor's the machine you use. Taylor has a contract with McDonald's to provide service for each of these things, and Taylor has deliberately overcomplicated the machines so that supposedly people at the store level would not be able to resolve an issue. It would go down and stay down until a technician can be sent out. Okay? And then Taylor charges an astronomical amount for a store visit that they charge them, from what I've heard, anywhere between $800 and $2,000 to show up and literally push a button on the machine so it starts working again. Okay? What usually happens, and again, I've been listening, I've heard what's going on. There's a whole controversy around this. If you don't defrost it in just a perfect way, or if you can follow the procedure perfectly. If the machine decides it doesn't defrost properly, it's down and it requires a technician visit. Okay? It has to defrost a certain way. It has to sterilize itself a certain way before it can be used the next day. It always has to defrost before it sterilizes. If anything in that procedure fails in the overnight, that store is screwed until a Taylor technician comes out and fixes this thing. Okay?
Oh, wow.
So, Taylor suing McDonald's for lying about the availability of the machines to function is not only so much hokum. The McDonald's operators, okay, not the McDonald's Corporation, the operators, the store managers, the franchisees, the people who have been putting up with this garbage for years because allegedly Taylor executives have been paying huge kickbacks allegedly to certain McDonald's executives allegedly to perpetuate the system. Those McDonald's groups, one of the fans of the McFlurry, I think, actually figured out an app. They got a hold of a Taylor machine, and they've developed an app where the McDonald's operator can actually use a cord or something to plug into the ice cream machine, and your little app will actually analyze the error codes and tell you what's wrong and how to fix it. So you can push your own button and save yourself $2,000 on a visit. That's what Taylor's ticked off about. McDonald's had to put out and say, people, please stop using this app because you're charging the guys who give us kickbacks a bunch of money, allegedly. So the fact that Taylor is idiotic enough to take on the McDonald's Corporation's legal department, okay? You got to understand, McDonald's Corporation does not see itself as a service industry. It's not a service business. It's not a fast food business. It's not even a customer service business. It's a real estate investment trust. McDonald's owns the vast majority of the land that their restaurants are on, and guess what? Usually the people who run the restaurants for them, the franchisees and stuff, are leasing the land and the building from the McDonald's Corporation. So they're paying rent essentially every month. McDonald's, needless to say, has, in order to facilitate all this real estate stuff, they have an army of lawyers that would put the Department of Justice to shame. Taylor taking on McDonald's is the most suicidal thing they could possibly do. McDonald's is not only going to wind up eating their lunch, they're going to wind up spitting out Taylor's bones and probably just go into making their own darn equipment. Which would be hilarious because if it comes down to it, all they have to do, McDonald's just has to decide, you know what, we're not going to use Taylor equipment anymore. We'll use somebody else. Taylor is going to go bankrupt in short order because they are so dependent on all these cash streams from McDonald's that if McDonald's cuts them off, they're done. And then guess who swoops in at the last minute and buys all their assets at bankruptcy court? McDonald's Corporation, because all their assets are already in their locations. So break them. And for every single poor old fool,
so smart.
For every poor old fool who has ever had to work at a McDonald's, who is listening to this podcast, or who doesn't listen to the podcast, whatever, for all you poor guys who have had to work at the ground level and deal with these stupid machines, this is one of those rare times where you're allowed to actually root for the McDonald's Corporation. You want them to break Taylor in half. So
awesome. That's right.
So yes, I'm well aware of that story that you brought up. But what was I ranting about before? I was ranting about how much Pizza Hut sucks because they screwed up all their pasta sauce. Don't think I forgot you, Pizza Hut. Bunch of jerks. Went up to Frisch's yesterday. They're now offering Nathan's hot dogs. And I thought, all right, Nathan's hot dogs, they're not bad. Sometimes they just taste like hot bologna to me, but I'll try it and see. Because, you know, it's going to have the chili and the cheese, and Frisch's is based out of Cincinnati. So, of course, Cincinnati, chili, they go together. With some cheddar cheese on top, some onions, and some num-num-num. It takes, this is not a joke, the beloved and I went yesterday. Sat down into Frisch's. I won't say where because I don't want this lady getting in trouble. I don't think it was her fault, not our server. She took our order at 12:10 in the afternoon on a Saturday afternoon. We get our food at 1 o'clock. Okay. The hot dogs, I ordered 2 hot dogs and fries. The 2 hot dogs were $9.50 and did not include the fries. The fries were $3 extra. Came with chili and cheese on it. I asked for onions on top. $9.50 for 2 chili cheese dogs. The buns, I guess they steamed the buns, but they probably steamed them in the dishwasher because the buns fell apart the instant I touched them. So I couldn't eat it by hand. I actually had to use a fork to eat these 2 chili dogs. The dogs themselves have been apparently nuked into oblivion. They're shriveled, they're dried up, tough. It's like eating beef jerky almost with chili and cheese and onions on top. Needless to say, I won't be buying the Nathan's hot dogs again at any of the Frisch's. And as a matter of fact, I'm thinking the beloved got a turkey club. And we had this discussion before because, like I said, we feed you before we start recording on Sunday afternoons. We've gotten a little more particular about our standards. When it comes to lunch meat, we eat boar's head. Okay, free plug. We don't get anything from boar's head. But we like boar's head. The beloved loves the oven roast chicken. I like the tavern ham that they have. And it runs anywhere between $10 and $12 a pound. Okay, but it's really, really good stuff. It makes really good sandwiches. Apparently, Frisch's does not bother with high-quality lunch meats in their sandwiches. I mean, they're known for their cheeseburgers, okay? But they do offer things like Buddy Boys and Swiss Misses and stuff. Swiss Miss is like turkey and Swiss cheese on like a rye bun or something like that. She absolutely was disgusted with the turkey. It did not taste right to her. And we wound up paying, we finally wound up getting a hot fudge cake for dessert just because we like the hot fudge cake and paid almost $5 just for the hot fudge cake that we split. We wound up getting out of there for $40 for 2 meals we don't like. I got out of that Pizza Hut with these two little rinky-dinky little pastas and a little thing of cheese sticks for almost $25. Okay? This is endemic all the way across the service industry right now. I know there's a lack of people to work these things, and I know that with the economy the way it is and inflation the way it is, a lot of these guys are trying to shrink their packages and keep the prices the same so they can keep their profit values up. But you're dealing with a bunch of people who are getting sick and tired of being screwed by you guys at the cash register every time you turn around. Now, I know this doesn't have a whole lot to geeking out. I'm over 25 minutes into this, but hold on. I'm almost done, I swear. There is going to be some sea changes going on over the next 2 years, and by the time the next presidential election hits in 2025, or in 2024, the next president is sworn in 2025, and I doubt it'll be Joe Biden. There is going to be a reckoning like you wouldn't believe. A lot of the businesses that you know and have done a lot of business with will cease to exist. They will die in the next 2 years, and it's all going to be from self-inflicted wounds. This is your UncaJuju peering back into the crystal ball again. There's some bloodshed coming, but that also means there are opportunities for new guys to start rising up. A lot of these corporations are going to go poof, and somebody's going to have to fill the void. I'm just saying, if you've ever had an idea where you wanted to try to get started into business for yourself, next 2 years might be time to start making plans, putting some basic paperwork in, getting some bones built. Get yourself ready, because 2025 is going to be an all-new gold rush. Guarantee you, especially, I hate to say it, especially if Trump wins in 2024, you are going to see a bunch of people's head explode, and then the gold rush will be on. Any reactions, Chris?
Yes, I was just thinking.
Because you've been sitting there rocking back and forth, smiling at me for the last 5 minutes. I'm trying to figure out what happened.
Well, I was thinking like how everything comes like in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, taxi cabs. Taxi cabs are gone in a lot of places, but now we have Uber drivers, which is pretty much the same thing as a taxi. But I was thinking, I was like, when you was talking about streaming services and how, they're in trouble and stuff like that, I was like, video stores might come back.
It's a possibility.
And I'm like...
That's a real possibility, because there was a story a couple of weeks ago. Who was it? And I can't remember who it was. It was Amazon, I think. It was either Amazon or Apple. No, it was Amazon. Amazon had a contract expire with one of the studios, and so the studio, their authorization for Amazon to stream certain content expired. So even if you bought movies from the studio to stream through Amazon or Amazon Prime, you aren't allowed to access them anymore. You were just out of luck. Now, it seems like somebody like UncaJuju may have been saying all along, you need to get physical media if you've got something you really like. Don't go buying streaming content, because they could take it away anytime. We're starting to see that happen. And like I said, Streamageddon is coming. We're almost 30 minutes in. This is a good way to wrap it. Streamageddon is coming. A lot of these guys are going to start yanking their rights from these third parties like Amazon, because they want all that revenue for themselves, and they think people are going to continue to play that game. So it already happened to Netflix. Because remember, a lot of studios used to have their stuff on Netflix, and they yanked it all away. It's going to happen to Amazon. It's going to happen to Vudu. It's going to happen to a lot of these third parties, where you either go to the studio streaming service, or you don't get it at all. And that's why I'm saying Streamageddon means a lot of people are just not going to deal with them at all, but they'll still get their content. they'll always get their content. It's just a matter of time till the torrent hits Roku.